You are watching Late Night Q&A with ZodWriter episode 109. Zod is going to have a compelling conversation with Katie and Andy of Hold My DualShock. I'm expecting this to be really fun and entertaining, maybe even a surprise or two. Anyway, enjoy the stream. I'll be listening while I fly my private jet to Hawaii tonight.
Late night vibe, gaming crew alive. Hold my DualShock, ready to thrive. Katie and Andy joining the ride with Zod. It's a Q&A tonight. Controllers in hand with movie talk part of the plan. Stories to share, gamers delight. We're taking you there. Tune in, get ready. It's about to be lit. Hold my DualShock is here. Come and get your fix.
All right. Without further ado, welcome to Late Night Q&A 109. I'm ZodWriter. I got Katie and Andy here. I got a full chat. You guys know what's up. Hey, Katie and Andy.
Hi.
What is up, dude?
Oh my gosh, your intro is fucking insane. That is so amazing.
I wanted to do something special for you guys. I knew I was having cool people on tonight, so...
No, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I was
one
like,
of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yes.
I thought it was cool just when you had the AI Tom Cruise thing happening, and then the song. I was like, oh shit.
I was like, I was like, oh, this song is cool. And then when she started singing, I was like, wait, that's our names.
Yeah.
That was so amazing.
Hey, you guys, hey, you guys deserve it. You guys deserve a quality intro. It took me a while. It took me some time. I was like, man, I was thinking, man, all week I was trying to figure out what would be the best way to bring on Katie and Andy. And I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then, with the DualShock controller, I'm like, we'll figure it out.
So special.
And the music and everything was just right up our alley of just like, I guess like that synthwave vibe stuff.
Yeah, that's synthwave with a little bit of 70s porn. You guys, right up there. You with the Andy with the mustache. I was just like, yeah, this works. This totally works.
That's the entire aesthetic I'm going for is 80s synthwave porn star, I'm going to make them sexy no matter what,
100%. That's like the best way to go. That's what the best way to go. We got a great chat here tonight. We got everybody in here. I love the fact that, I'm seeing some carryover from your 3K stream. Congratulations. That's quite a milestone. I mean, when you guys were talking about your humble beginnings, I was literally dying. I'm like, everybody is embarrassed about their first couple of videos. Everybody's like, man, this stuff is crap compared to what we've evolved into. And it's like, you guys were pretty hard on yourselves. I don't know. It's just so. I mean,
it's pretty bad.
Can you talk a little bit about it though? Like at this point, where you came from? I mean, you call yourselves Hold My DualShock, so you're obviously gamers. You obviously love video games and stuff like that. So where can you explain a little bit of that, like an origin story, like for those that don't know?
Yeah. So like last year, we had this idea that we wanted to start talking on YouTube.
Well, technically it started with Andy and Peter.
Yeah. Well, it started with Peter. and he was one to do like his friends were doing gaming stuff, and so we're like, hey, let's just try a gaming YouTube channel. I had done stuff with some YouTube channels for work, and so I was like, I've never done one that was just for fun, and it looked like a great time. But immediately we realized Peter was just terrible on camera for gaming. Like, you have to have a certain personality, and he is such a sweaty gamer. He focuses in. He would go like an hour and just not say anything. He'd be going 15 minutes between just breathing out vape. So,
which is where we transitioned to bringing me in, and then we decided we're going to go towards movies, shows, and games, so that we could do all of it. Yeah. Because I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan and love Mission Impossible, and so
How did I know that? See, I was like, I'm gonna get Katie. I'm gonna throw Tom Cruise in there.
I was like, oh my God, I love that. So that's where we kind of got into it. And then we have always been huge community fans. Mm-hmm. And so that was our first video.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to talk about like a lot of stuff. And the whole Hold My DualShock thing was supposed to be like Hold My Beer. And just like we had this mental image of just raging and throwing your controller at your TV. Like all those old Wii memes back in the day.
There was a line I had because I was actually writing, your intro earlier in the week. I started writing your intro, and I wanted to, and there was a line in one of the drafts that I came up with about put down the DualShock and hold my beer.
Really?
And I actually had that line in there. I was thinking, but it didn't work with what I was trying to do, what I ultimately ended up coming up with. But yeah, you guys, I mean, it's like I'm vibing right now, right away, just based off of the things that you guys are saying. It just
thanks. Yeah.
Makes so
dude,
much
and as far as us being hard on ourselves, that's all we do. Like, but the three of us are just constantly roasting each other, and we love it, dude. That's our favorite thing about being a fan is just hot takes and kind of playfully calling each other idiots. So yeah, we thought we'd just show all of our bloopers and all of our bad decisions.
I just feel bad for Peter. It's like he's the red-headed stepchild of the group. It's sort of
Peter brings it on himself.
Yep. Peter, initially, it was pretty early on. Peter's like, I really enjoy pulling this stuff up more than having to remember to say stuff on camera. And so that's kind of, I guess, the dynamic now is that we rotate in and out. But Katie does all the videos, and then Peter and I will pop in on the other ones.
So, can you speak a little bit about how long y'all have been friends, or how long you've been together, or whatever your situation is? Because
Peter and Andy are brothers, so from birth,
for forever, yeah.
And then I met them when they moved to America.
Yeah, about
10 years ago.
Yeah.
So where are you originally from?
Me? I'm from South Africa. Peter and I are from South Africa, but we also grew up in Europe for a long time. We were in Scotland.
Okay, and then Katie, how did you connect with these two brothers?
So I actually used to work for Andy. So Andy was managing a bar downtown in Louisiana, and so I went to school here, and then so my sister and I were getting a job bartending, and that's how I met Andy. Mm-hmm. And then we all started hanging out as friends, and I met Peter, and we've kind of been friends ever since. And then we all just hang out together and talk about movies. And then they actually asked me if I would help them with the channel originally when they were having issues with Peter, not wanting to be on screen by himself. And originally Andy wanted nothing to do with being in front of the screen
at all.
And so that's why Peter and I were doing it. And then we started moving in and out to see how it would work best for the channel.
So basically, Katie, you're the brains. You're the brains, and you brought the visuals out of everybody. Technically,
yeah, technically, they added the movies and shows because of me. So,
yeah.
Okay, well that kind of makes sense. I had no idea. All those references you made to South Africa, I always thought you were joking. I didn't realize you were actually from there. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, that makes even more sense for your origin story. So wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's why he makes even more jokes about like how politics and stuff are in movies and shows, how he doesn't really understand it.
Yeah.
Because he's like, not being from America, he's like, they obsess too much about certain things.
Well, and I've been here long enough to like now understand y'all's culture and y'all's politics, but at the same time, it's just different overseas. And so sometimes I just take a step back, like, this is hilarious. I think that's why we don't get upset as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've noticed that you don't get upset except when you're talking about Disney Star Wars. But that's but I mean, everybody gets upset when they talk about Disney Star Wars, unless they're of a certain view, a certain point of view. So, and speaking of Star Wars, we got Brogu. What's up, Brogu? It's always great to see Brogu in the chat. Brogu is one of the greatest supporters of all time, as you guys both know. And the $4.99 super chat, he says, "Hey, ZodWriter, just wanted to say hi to you and my friends Katie and Andy. Congratulations on reaching 3K. This is only the beginning."
Thank you, Brogu.
I can't disagree with that statement. I mean, I'm surprised you guys don't have like 34K subscribers by now. Like, you guys are so good with the way that you interact with everybody. And that's one of the things that I've always looked at as like a pinnacle of great YouTubers and just great people in general, when they interact with their chat and they make their chat feel like they're a big part of everything that's going on. And to me, that's very important, because without your chat and your viewers, where would you be? You wouldn't have a channel, right? So I just so I always like to shout out the greatness of the chat. Speaking of synthwave, here's a pitch: Daredevil Born Again, Miami Vice style.
Yeah,
there you go. That could work.
That could.
It could work, actually. I mean, but I guess it would depend on what Miami Vice you're talking about, because if we're talking about the Michael Mann movie version of Miami Vice versus the TV show, it's different. It's different eras. But if you're talking about the 80s TV show, I think Born Again could work as an 80s throwback TV show if they could get the rights to all the 80s music.
Yeah.
And then he would look great with all that neon backlighting and edge lighting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that could totally work. So, are you guys excited for the upcoming Superman movie, if you could call it that? Are you excited for that? I saw the pictures of the the Three Stooges Shemp looking Clark Kent, and I kind of I kind of said, well, this is the first Superman movie since I've been alive that I'm not excited for. So how do you two great people feel about that?
You want me to go first? So our recent video has gotten a lot of comments about it. Personally,
a lot of negative comments, to specify.
Yeah, a lot of negative comments. Basically, everyone's telling us we need to just wait until we get a trailer, because obviously they're going to fix it post-production.
That's BS.
Yeah.
That's BS.
Exactly.
But with the hairpiece, I think that's ridiculous. I've never seen Superman wear a hairpiece, and I think it's just the whole thing just screams too silly. I
think so. Long story. I mean, I love all Superman stuff. I'm going to watch it, of course. It's hard to be excited about it. I keep forgetting about it. It feels like it's making no impact culturally. The hashtags, halftime, you see the Superman hashtags, which I thought was kind of desperate.
Yes.
Trying to farm those hashtags.
100%. Yes.
I guess I have a question for you. Do you think that he actually did that because he thought it would get more people talking about Superman, his Superman, or do you think it was that way he could show the studio execs a misleading report on how often Superman's being mentioned, and then say, hey, look, they're talking about my Superman, knowing that
I think that it's a combination of both, but it's more the second one than anything else, because he wants to show the studio because he wants to, because James Gunn is the type, he's an attention whore, and it's all about look at what I can do. Look at what I'm doing. I'm better than Snyder because I can do this. I can provide that engagement. I can get rid of these Snyder bots because I'm this. And it's like, well, no, James Gunn. Everything that you've done has just proven to us more, like 1,000 times over already, why Snyder's vision was the superior vision for DC. Nothing you've done has shown us that you're the man to be taking over DC. You shouldn't, not only should you not be running DC Studios, you shouldn't be able to direct a backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
I have no faith in anything that man touches. So it's great to see that so many people are feeling this way. And it's not just, and it's funny, it's not just us who are fans. It's like just regular people that watch these movies that are upset with what James Gunn is doing. So,
and then on top of that, he shouldn't be a part of this whole production regardless, because he didn't want to make a Superman movie. Like, he in the past has been asked if he wanted to make like superhero movies, and he specifically said he was like, no, I probably would never make a Superman movie.
Yeah, I don't believe that one.
Well, yeah, he actually did say in an interview that he would never, and I think he actually said it on Twitter, where he said he would never want the job of, at the time, he would never want the job of like Walter Hamada, who was head of DC at the time. He would never want the job of Kevin Feige over at Marvel. He'd never want a big job like that. And he also said in an interview why he would not want a Superman movie, because he's far more passionate about the obscure, lesser known characters. He's actually quoted as talking about this
exactly
like a couple of months before, lo and behold, he's doing a Superman film.
Yeah. And we all know the reason he likes obscure characters is because he can do whatever he wants with them, and no one's going to argue because they don't really know the comics.
I think that, so it's weird because, you see these clips of him, and in the right setting, like if he's on, I forget the name of the guy, but he was the Lex Luthor for Smallville. When he's on his podcast, he sounds super into it. He sounds very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like humble. But then you see his engagements online, and it's like the complete opposite. Everything that he leaves online is the complete opposite. And I just get this feeling that when he was on the outside and nobody was taking him seriously, he just was just trying to like shit on the idea of being a big time Hollywood producer who makes, $200 million movies. But he always wanted it. And I think that's why he was always so critical of Michael Keaton's Batman, why he was so critical of The Dark Knight.
All the things that he said about that stuff should have automatically disqualified him from ever doing a DC project, period.
Yeah. It sounds like he doesn't like DC. If you're telling, between Keaton's Batman and the Dark Knight trilogy, you hit almost every level of DC fan who's like, yeah, there's something that they love about those. So, and then the Dark Knight hate. Talk about being tone deaf. Is there anybody who doesn't think it's a masterpiece?
It's like saying don't like the Dark Knight, but here I did a little movie called Human Z. Watch that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you guys saw Human Z, but it's literally just so trash, and it is a James Gunn movie where James Gunn is literally playing James Gunn in this movie.
Really?
And him and his brother are literally urinating on a guy in a box.
Yep.
That was delivered to his house.
Ew.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a Creature Commandos is gonna have all that, defecating juvenile humor that all of the James Gunn type fans like. And there's not that many of them either. And that's the big thing that's really gonna show WBD up. The fact that James Gunn's fan base doesn't exist. He doesn't have a fan base on the level that you would need of like someone like a Zack Snyder who has a loyal fan base that's going to rally behind him and support everything that he does. You're not going to get that with James Gunn. James Gunn couldn't even convince his pitiful little fan base to go see these last DC movies that he was overseeing. He couldn't get nobody to go see Blue Beetle. He couldn't get nobody to see The Flash, even with all those celebrity endorsements and all that crazy stuff he was doing with Stephen King and Tom Cruise. Couldn't get nobody to go see it. And so it kind of, so to me, it kind of makes me wonder what the studio saw that made them think, oh yeah, Peter Safran and James Gunn are the men for the job.
That's such a good point. It's just their obsession with Marvel.
So I think there's something else, because I've watched James Gunn stuff for forever because I like weird indie films. And up until Guardians, his stuff was about the same level. I don't know if you've seen it. John Dies at the End.
I have.
You know, it's like a weird, kitschy kind of.
Yeah,
I've
seen the film. Yeah, I actually read the book and thought the book was way better. But
but you know, like that level of late night kind of B-TV movie entertainment. And I think back to the first thing I ever saw from him was that movie Super with Ryan Wilson, I think, Dwight from The Office.
Yeah.
And then I saw Peacemaker, and I saw what he did with the Suicide Squad. I'm like, bro, I don't think James Gunn has the sincerity necessary to make a Superman film. And I think he's just a horrible hire. I think that it could potentially be looked back as the worst hire in movie history. For what, I wouldn't be surprised if this movie doesn't make $300 million. If that's, I mean, it probably sounds crazy, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think it's more likely not to hit 300 than it is to hit $1 billion.
I don't even think it's going to make, to be honest with you, I don't even think it's going to do all that much better than Blue Beetle. I think it's going to flop really hard. And I have to ask, Katie, are you drinking White Claw?
No, I'm drinking Monster.
Okay, I was wondering what you were drinking. I'm like, are you drinking? What are you drinking? Same thing, Monster?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering. I'm like, what are you guys drinking? But no, I don't think that it's going to make anything. And I think not only is it going to be a colossal flop, but it's going to set the Superman character back several decades. Yeah,
because there'll be people that say it's not viable, and they'll link it to superhero fatigue. I like what you said earlier as well about trying to show that he can get the engagement that Snyder couldn't. That actually resonates, because doesn't it feel like everything's to try and recreate this discourse around James Gunn that there was around Snyder with the Snyder Cut movement, and getting this like the largest fan movement pretty much in history. To try and recreate that for Snyder, and it's just for Gunn, and it's just not there.
No, it's not there at all. There's no way. James Gunn doesn't have 1/10 of the fan base that Zack Snyder has, and he knows it. And that's the problem. It's a jealousy thing.
Yeah.
This is the reason why Gunn does not want to really promote any other projects. If you notice, he's very sketchy about any additional DC stuff he promotes other than the stuff that he's actually doing.
Yes.
Like it looked like it was actually painful for him to post about that Penguin TV show that's coming. Like he just put like a little penguin and posted it there. He was probably told by the studio, you need to promote that Matt Reeves bullshit. You need to promote it. Do it. Like he's very selfish. He's very narcissistic, and you can tell in everything that he does.
Yeah. And it's so sad too, because every time like Superman starts trending for something that he's posted, you'll see probably like 10, 20 minutes later that Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill's Superman will be start trending like right afterwards.
Even on Warner Brothers' own post for the Superman movie, you open the comments and it's just a flood of people being like,
Henry Cavill's my Superman. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what you get. Henry Cavill. Hashtag Henry Cavill Superman.
Yep. And then tons of like memes and gifs of Henry Cavill.
And these are all people, and this isn't just, and then that's what I say, this isn't just us, those of us that are in the, sell Snyderverse to Netflix movement or restore the Snyderverse, whatever you believe in. This isn't just Snyder fans. This is like just general Superman fans that acknowledge that, Henry Cavill's the GOAT and he shouldn't have been replaced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can even see in like a ton of comments, like the derangement of wanting to somehow insert Zack Snyder into the conversation and saying that, because we did we mention Zack Snyder at all in our video? I don't think. Yeah, I'm like, I don't think so. And they were like, oh, you guys are just Zack Snyder cultists. I'm like, we didn't mention him once. We're talking about the current suit.
We said the suit didn't look as good as
Henry
CW.
Cavill. Oh, CW.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I've seen suits that look better than that at Party City and on eBay I've seen ones on eBay that look that are similar in style to Henry Cavill's. Hell, even the super, and for example, the black Superman suit that Skywalker the Jedi wore when he went to Full Circle is 1,000 times better quality than the costume fakery that David Cornsweat is wearing.
They got it so wrong. And again, dude, if people enjoy it, good for you, man. I don't care. I just want to talk about it. But we had the discussion when they first had that photo of him sitting, and man, people tore into anybody that had an opinion saying, well, that's not the right lighting. It's too dark. So that was produced lighting, correct? Then we see it in natural lighting, and it's like, well, it hasn't gone through post. So they've already augmented it once. It didn't get the result they wanted. Now they've shown it in the light of day. It's not getting the result that they want. And throughout all this maybe is the most quiet I've ever heard James Gunn on Twitter or on social media. Yeah. Like, he's been weirdly quiet. I expected him to be making, victory laps.
Statements.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Got a $5 super chat here from A. Curly Ray. He says, what's up, ZodWriter and Hold My DualShock? I just want to stop and say hello and congratulations to Hold My DualShock for reaching 3K subs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, A. Curly Ray, for the super chat. Curly Ray is also a very big supporter. So much appreciated, A. Curly Ray. And Geek Initiative was talking about the original 1980s Miami Vice when he made his earlier comment. And we've got a £5 super chat here. Let's see, from Terrace House guy. This is one of another good supporter who watches all these shows. Andy, Peter, and Katie each bring their own unique qualities to their stream, which makes it awesome to watch. Hashtag Dooley till I die.
Thanks, you, Terrace.
That's my nemesis.
Thank you, Terrace. That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, Peter's not here, which is why Peter was not included in any of the promotional material, because I wasn't expecting Peter to be here. But if he came, that would make me a liar, so I'd have to amend certain things.
Peter's off completing tasks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, he's doing the work. He's getting the Chinese food.
Yeah.
So, but Osa Fresh says the panel of one, the panel of two, the panel of many. have a great stream, you guys. There you go. Pow pow from Osa Fresh.
What's up? That's good.
I'm gonna say that I think Superman is going to embarrass WB. Yes. It's going to do so bad that Andy, they're going to have no choice but to take Superman and shelve him.
Yeah.
For at least 20 years.
Yeah. What I always thought was interesting? From the beginning of this stuff with James Gunn, I felt like he was just trying to loop in as many pockets of the fandom as possible by promising everybody everything. And very early on, when we made our first video about it, in our comments, we were like, he can't do those things. Those things are in competition. Those ideas are competing with one another. And so how many times have we heard people say, well, it's going to be an iconic, wholesome Superman? First of all, have you ever seen James Gunn do wholesome?
Ever?
Is that in his library? Then people said it's going to be comic accurate. Peacemaker is not comic accurate. Guardians of the Galaxy is not comic accurate. And then now the
Suicide Squad wasn't comic accurate either.
Yeah. And so the most recent one with the Clark Kent hair, I don't even know if that's true, but I wouldn't be shocked with the
Their
Gen
face.
Z haircut. And so then it's not going to be traditional either, is it? It's not going to be. It's the most current fad right now. So it can't be all those things. I'm wondering when people are going to start putting two and two together and saying, like, if he's got this many people that he's promising things to and he can't keep them all happy, where's the success going to come from?
That's a great question. Where is the, you know what? When I heard the lines uttered, when I seen these lines in articles and heard people actually say this, and I don't know if you two are going to know what I'm talking about, but how about this? It doesn't have to make money to be a success.
Yep.
That's like his biggest ally, right? Because Suicide Squad tanked and people made excuses. Peacemaker, they got caught fudging the numbers on how successful that was.
And the views for that were
That's what I'm saying.
awful.
Like,
yeah.
the views weren't hot. And even Guardians. So can we talk about the fact that you're making a Marvel production at a time when bad Marvel films were getting close to $1 billion, right? So in my mind, anything that you pumped out before Endgame was going to make money. And then Guardians 3 wasn't a massive step up on the box office for Guardians 2, even though movie tickets cost a couple dollars more than they did because of inflation. So, and then you find out financially it didn't really make money.
Because they spent so much money on marketing and everything else.
Yeah.
And then part of their money making was Disney once again buying it to put it on their streaming platform.
Licensing it from themselves, like they did with Ragnarok.
Yeah.
The thing that nobody seems to be understanding about James Gunn is that the only reason Guardians of the Galaxy was such a success was because it was a Marvel property existing in an already thriving universe at the time.
Yeah.
It was very successful. Marvel was had built up their brand by the time Guardians of the Galaxy came out, to the point where literally they could have released, turds on a screen for 2.5 hours and people would have went and seen it, and you would have had some people claiming it was a masterpiece. So the reality is that, Guardians of the Galaxy benefited from the windfall of success from the existing Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not because these people are James Gunn fans. It's not because these people are rallying behind. That's why I keep referring back to the movies, Blue Beetle, The Flash, Shazam 2, all these movies that came out, Aquaman 2, all these movies that came out under James Gunn's watch as head of DC Studios. That is how you should be measuring James Gunn's success.
Yeah.
Not because Guardians of the Galaxy was a success. It's a successful franchise because it's part of a successful multiverse. So therefore it's going to be successful. But I just don't get the hype. And I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed, particularly the studio, because if the studio thinks that this is going to be more popular than Man of Steel was, if the studio thinks this is going to be more popular than Superman Returns was, I think that they are setting themselves up for the most colossal disappointment they've ever seen. This could end up being the biggest major property flop in cinematic history.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It also doesn't help that they completely unnecessarily fractured their fan base. That was them. That wasn't the fans. That was them telling half the fan base that they were stupid for wanting something. And we always talk about Warner Brothers just seems like they're the worst run studio maybe in the world. And to push out that narrative that was for years that it was only a vocal minority of people that wanted to see the Snyder Cut, right? And then there's this huge groundswell, and it's clearly not. Like conservatively, they surely now have to realize that it's at least half the fan base wants to see that, and then maybe the other half is just open to anything. How does this film make money if half the fan base is boycotting you, not because they did it themselves, because you said we don't want you here? Every single piece of marketing is, we don't want your money, we don't like your ideas, don't you dare talk amongst yourselves, because we're the arbiters of what is said about these products, you know?
It's almost like, you know, Katie and Andy, I'm thinking of like all the parallels between Disney and Warner Brothers right now. It's as though it's as though they're both setting themselves up to they just want to completely destroy the studio system beyond repair. It's almost as if they know, you know, people like me are out there getting ready to make movies and are making songs and are doing things utilizing AI technology, getting ready to, you know, put the final nail in the Hollywood coffin. Yeah. It's about to happen. And they just don't care anymore. They're just like, it's over anyway. So let's just do what we want to do. Make it all about messaging. Make it all about whatever the people that are working for us now at the current time want to do. And, you know, screw what the fans want. The fans are the enemy here. You know, obviously it's like Disney at this point has a personal vendetta against Star Wars fans. It's not even funny. Yeah. It's almost like they're literally giving the finger to Star Wars fans. And you have, and it's the same thing going on with, you know, Warner Brothers, you know, screw everything that Zack Snyder did in spite of how popular it is. The hell with it. You're getting James Gunn now and you're going to like it.
Yeah. And, you know, the sad thing is, it's not actually too late. Like, realistically, you look at what happened with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. If they weren't so filled with hubris, they could be hearing that this, even if you want to say half the population really, really likes this, you surely would want something that's ubiquitously liked. And so it's not too late to say, hey, we got it wrong, we're going to do a different suit. Hey, we got it wrong, maybe there are too many superheroes in this upcoming film, and it's not going to be a Superman film, it's going to be an ensemble film. But you just get the feel that they don't care because, like you said, it's not about money, is it? I mean, how weird is that? That a corporation saying we don't care if we make money.
Yeah, it's not about money. And again, the thing I'm seeing over and over again, it doesn't have to make money to be a success. And Inside the Jackal's Head says here, the colors on the suit look good. The S on the back looks cool. The suit colors, again, are good. The suit itself looks baggy and shitty.
I'd say there's also something with that material.
Yeah, the material looks fake. The material looks very Party City-esque. Very much like just, you know, cheapness on a level that I'll never understand. Daniel Martin says, does his bangs grow when he puts on the Superman suit? That's what I want to know.
So now his
superpowers gets straightened.
Now superpowers is he changes his hair as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sitting here and I scratch my head wondering, who is this movie for? Because if there's no fan hype for it, if nobody wants it, why are they throwing so much money at it? Why are they bothering? Like, you know, they took some of their movies, they did tax write-offs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could this Superman movie, it's a controversial question I'm asking the two of you, could this Superman movie be getting made to essentially be used as a tax write-off? Because look at the stock for WBD. Look at it. It's less than $10 a share.
Now, easily it could be, because we've seen in the past they have no problem making productions and like fully finishing films and then using them as tax write-offs. We saw it with Batgirl. We saw it with the acting movie recently. Like, I think DC is like the only company, not DC or just Warner Brothers, is the only company I've seen that purposefully created a film to like fully produced and then be like, we're not going to release it.
Just shelved it.
Yeah.
Twice. Yeah.
That's how bad Snyder derangement syndrome is. My friend here, Jackal, from inside the Jackal's head, says, I was accused of being a Snyder bot on another channel, and he's not even a Snyder fan. But because he's critical of what they're doing with James Gunn, Snyder derangement syndrome is so deep amongst these people that you get attacked as being a Snyder fan, even if you're not. And I can attest to the fact him and I have had, he's my friend, he's my brother from another mother. Him and I have had some knockdown, drag out fights over the Snyder movies in the past. And so when I see him being called a Snyder bot, I look at it and say, well, yeah, Snyder derangement syndrome is a real thing. It really is. These people, that's like Snyder is their punchline for any and all criticism whatsoever for this movie. It's just like on the Disney side where, like, I believe it was you, Katie, who pointed this out on one of your recent streams where you said about how if you don't like the Alkalite, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're all of these things just because you don't like the Alkalite. Not because the acting is bad, not because the writing sucks, not because the story makes no sense and doesn't belong in Star Wars continuity. No, because there always has to be some underlining reason. And so could you comment about that a little bit? Like, how do you feel personally being a woman and seeing all of this stuff being used as a way to basically gaslight the fandom?
No, 100%. In all honesty, I have to laugh at it now because we've seen it so many times. And it's not even like a surprise anymore. Like when Kathleen Kennedy herself made a statement before the Acolyte even came out and was saying that the actors should just be prepared for the amount of racist and misogynistic comments that they're going to get, because that's just what the Star Wars fan base is made up of. It's just so insulting. And it's just, because you cannot have any criticism of the Acolyte. It can't be the fact that you just in general don't like her show or that you think the writing is bad. No. It has to be because me personally, I have to be misogynist and a racist too, because I didn't like Amanda was acting.
Yeah, you're obviously with the patriarchy on this, Katie.
I know
you're a real problem for Miss Headland.
Yeah,
I it's funny to me because it's like, wasn't she Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant? So her coming out being like this is really pot calling the kettle black kind of stuff. I mean, I really don't understand what we're dealing with these days. Like,
I don't. Yeah,
it's like everybody's just lost their minds completely. Like, I don't.
And then Leslie Headland personally made a statement saying that the people who are tearing down her art are attacking it because of the gay messaging. And I'm like, one, lady, no one's attacking it because it has anything to do with the gay part. It's the fact that it's supposed to be Star Wars and it resembles nothing that has to do with
right. I mean, do we really want to see? I mean, okay, if you want to take, what are they calling them now? Lesbian space witches.
Yeah.
That's
the
common?
By the way, that's the statement, or that's the name the Access Media created. That was in articles. Like,
right. When we mention it, people get upset.
Yes, but somehow
right. Somehow you coined it. Somehow it's Katie's fault.
Yeah. Somehow I'm a homophobe because I said
you're a homophobe because you said lesbian space witches. But I mean, let's be honest, that's what it is. That's what the Alkalite's about. It's about lesbian space witches, lesbian space witches, two black females,
and it's hard to figure out what it's about because the story is super confusing.
And some so-called Jedi that don't act anything like Jedi.
Yes, and a Sith that's not supposed to be a Sith.
I just don't get it. I sit here and I say to myself, who is this for? Like, if you're going to criticize, I mean, if you're going to make your audience, believe in this, and you want your audience to watch it, I understand that there's going to be a certain degree of messaging that you're going to put in that, because that's the thing nowadays. Everybody's all about their messaging and their, and their inclusion and all this crazy stuff. Okay, whatever. But you don't throw that in at the expense of the story and at the expense of what people are there for in the first place.
Yeah,
When we watch this stuff, we want to escape. We want to escape reality. We don't want to constantly be reminded of it.
Exactly. And we've seen it done well. Like, it's not impossible to do. Like, she could have included all of the stuff she wanted to include, but you have to be a good writer to be able to do that.
Yeah, when it's done well, they're called themes or the moral of the story, and people enjoy it because it enriches the story. When it's done poorly, it's jarring and disrupts the story. It's a skill issue. They're just not good enough writers.
Yeah.
And I just want to point this out from my good friend GeForce Guy. Your guests have the best background ever. 100%. I mean, you guys are going to all of the important places in cinema history, for real. It's awesome. It's like I'm mesmerized by it every time I watch your streams. I'm just like, yeah, I'm like right there. I mean, but I'm wondering where we're headed with regards to cinema, because my favorite anime of all time, Fist of the North Star, is fond of saying, when the pendulum swings in favor of one, it eventually swings in favor of its opposite.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the pendulum is eventually gonna swing back the other way, and things are not always gonna be are not always gonna look this way. No. And I feel like this is a time in cinematic history that's gonna be looked at as the dumbest time ever.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like, historians are gonna look at this and be like, what the hell were they thinking? It's like it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. It's comical. Like, we laughed because Andy was saying something, and we were like, Leslie Headland unironically made the greatest Star Wars comedy ever.
Yeah.
Because when we're watching the show, most of the time we're just laughing. I'm like, did that really just happen?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I mean, your point is the dumbest point in movie history, for sure. There's so many directors saying that too. Isn't it weird that it was initially just toxic fans, and now you have Tarantino and these people being like, yeah, it's really messed up in Hollywood right now. It's really hard to tell a great story. And it just seems like you said, what's next? Do you ever get the feeling that they know that they've boxed themselves into this very, very small corner and they can only go deeper? And it's like a ratchet. They have to keep getting more absurd with suspending the entertainment to virtue signal to one another. And it's just closer to being public access TV than it is to being entertainment. And I just sometimes wonder, are they is Hollywood maybe hoping that if they tank it, they get a government bailout and can do a reset?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like we need welfare for Hollywood now, welfare for filmmakers at this point, because it's things are so bad that I'm almost sure that that when we finally do get away from this constant influx of messaging over story, when that's finally gone, and again, when AI becomes to the point where it's easy for us fans to make all the movies we want to see without the need of Hollywood or any kind of, which is the direction we're headed.
Yeah.
I think, again, I think the writing is on the wall. I think they know it's the end, so they're just trying to go out with as much nonsensical messaging as they possibly can. They're trying to, ingrain it into the brains of people because it is a form of brainwashing, and that's it. I mean, they know they can't stop it. The train's already left the station. It's over, but they're going to bury it into the ground as far as they can and just hope that that they've made an impact. And they've definitely made an impact.
Yeah, I think people will forever remember the Acolyte and some of these other movies. Definitely.
Infamously.
Yeah, infamously.
I mean, and this is a great point here. James Gunn, like The Flash, Blue Beetle, and his Suicide Squad, they all flopped. All of them.
Yes.
That's a great point. So do you remember when, was it Black Adam came out and it made, I think, like 400, but that was with how they botched the Asian release. And people were saying, oh, this is horrendous. Little did they know it would outperform everything that James Gunn repped for.
Oh, yeah. 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 It was probably the best thing for Black Adam that James Gunn didn't have nothing to say about it, because everything he talked about just tanked even worse, because I don't think DC realizes, WBD, the studio realizes just how much hate is actually real and out there for James Gunn. I don't think they realize that, no, you made a mistake. And as late in the game as it is, your stock would go up incredibly if you announced tomorrow that you were firing James Gunn. Your stock would go up just by virtue of that alone. You'd probably go back to $100 a share.
Yeah. Well, what group of people do you think hates Snyder? Like, what actual group do you think he offends?
Well, that's a hard question for me, because I'm a diehard Snyder fan. So even my buddy who and I that when we go back and forth about Snyder and him not liking Snyder, I have a hard time with it, because I've loved all of his work. Mm-hmm. I'm a diehard Snyder fan, so I don't. But the point is, everybody that's ever worked with Zack Snyder loves him and wants to work with him more, and everybody that's a fan of Zack Snyder who's ever met Zack Snyder or ever seen Zack Snyder speak on something just loves him more. So yeah. It's odd to me to see him get so much hate from, but for reasons other. And when I say reasons other, I hate how people make it personal and will attack Zack Snyder for the death of his daughter, or attack Zack Snyder for personal things that have nothing to do with his movies. It's like, if you hate the man's movies, okay, that's fine. That's your opinion. It's subjective. You don't have to like every filmmaker. I don't like Taika Waititi, but I'm not going to sit there and wish death on Taika Waititi and his family just because I don't like his films.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think that's kind of what I was alluding to is, outside of people who everybody can like or not like a director, okay? There are people that don't like Nolan. But outside of just people who aren't a fan of your work, the only people, do you think that Snyder being appointed to a studio is ever going to have people boycott stuff other than people who can make this weird cognitive leap about his daughter? And that's got to be an entirely small portion of the population that has that worldview, correct? I don't think reasonable, rational people would blame him for the death of his daughter. Whereas, how many different pockets of the fandom in just America could find offense with James Gunn with his antics over the past couple of years? Not only his antics, but movies and stuff that he's actually made. Like I was telling you guys earlier about that Human Z movie. And if I still had it queued up, I would actually play it, because I actually had it queued up on in my StreamYard,
and I was actually playing scenes from it on a few other streams I did, and yeah, it is so offensive and just outright gross.
That's what I'm saying. He is offensive. Like
He is. He's disgusting. I can't stand him. And I honestly, I don't. And it's like, I'm not the type of person that's like gonna hate somebody just because I don't like his movies. It's not about his movies. It's about what he does. It's about how he conducts himself as a person, about how he always lies, about how he's so sus with everything that he does. It's like it's how you carry yourself. You don't get any of that with Zack Snyder.
No, and you don't get to demand when people forgive you for your mistakes. And there's still people that are upset about the tweets. Like, nobody made him write those tweets. And I know people that are like, I'll never watch his stuff because of that. I mean, you can't do a live stream without having people bring up how disgusting the tweets were, or the book he read,
or that he should be in jail.
And that's not even getting into people that don't like him because of what he said about Nolan. So, you have Nolan fans who are like, well, if he doesn't like The Dark Knight, I have no faith in what he's going to do with DC.
Yeah.
And then you have people that, if he doesn't like Michael Keaton, I have no faith in what he's going to do with DC. So I just see like a lot of pockets who could have a legitimate reason, like, I'm not interested in what he would do as a director. And I don't think you have that with Snyder, other than maybe people jumping on this, like, I don't like his art because I think he's, the worst director in Hollywood,
and
which has just become fashionable.
More so, the hate that surrounds Zack Snyder is like the access media despise him just because he has such a loyal fan base who's able to like motivate a studio to release the Snyder Cut, which I think offended and pissed off a lot of people. In,
they were Warner Brothers, or Warner Media at the time, was forced to release the Snyder Cut, not because the studio executives who were working at that studio at the time decided to release it, but because their parent company, AT&T at the time, the head of AT&T, John Stankey, came down himself and told Toby Emmerich, you need to call Zack Snyder and we need to work this out. The fans want this movie and we're going to release it. It's going to be a win for the fans and it's going to be a win for the studio. And the executives, it was all about ego. They didn't want to release it because of ego. Toby Emmerich did not want to have that phone call with Zack Snyder. Nobody at the studio wanted to release it because of all the things that you guys just said. They do not like Zack. They do not want it. They're not only that, they're jealous of Zack Snyder. They're jealous of the way that Zack Snyder can get things done. They're jealous of the fact that Zack has a fan base who will rally behind him to get things done. And it was one of those things where, in all honesty, we never should have got the Snyder Cut. There's no world in which the Snyder Cut should have actually gotten released. It should have been left buried and never released. And the reason I'm saying this is because from the studio perspective, there's no way. There's no way. As fans, we wanted it and we were so happy to get it. We were excited. We felt we deserved it. We felt Zack deserved it. It was, we were going to keep fighting for it even to this day. If we still hadn't gotten it, we would still be fighting for it because that's how much we knew it was going to be a superior product. And then you got to think about all the people that said all these negative things and constantly said, oh, the Snyder Cut doesn't exist. You're all full of shit. You're chasing vapor. All this stuff that we heard from all these people, these Collider bozos, John Campea, all these scumbags. And then when it comes out, a lot of these people are backtracking. They're all like, oh, well, we never said that it didn't exist. We just said that it would never get released. And it's like, bozos. It's literally on video, y'all saying that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So now the Snyder hate runs so deep that even the top critics will have responses saying like, oh, only Snyder cultists would like this. And I'm like, you're a critic, dude.
I saw that. Hey, Katie, I saw that. I was so upset. My blood was boiling when I was reading Rebel Moon reviews.
Yes.
Because I was reading those kind of comments from critics in Rebel Moon reviews.
I was like, what is wrong with you people? Like, you're supposed to be above all of that.
Well, they're the first to call out review bombing, and they'll have the entire Access Media get their pound of flesh before the film even is viewable. I don't know why they're releasing it ahead of time to critics. If I was Netflix, I would just be like, you can see it after people with a subscription.
Yeah, exactly. Because they didn't even, and I would bet 1,000% that more than half of these critics never even watched the movie. They had their review written. Rotten Tomatoes paid them their $55 for their review. They had their review written before they even saw the movie.
Yeah.
It's so egregious when you literally start a review attacking Zack Snyder's fan base.
Yeah. You know, you want to hear something funny I heard somebody trying to clap back at the whole debate over the better suit by saying Zack Snyder's just a dude who's like working at a streaming company, whereas James Gunn's the director of DC. And I'm like, my guy, like, Netflix is in a better position than everyone in Hollywood. Disney wishes they had Netflix's model. That's not a flex on Snyder. You should be realizing that they're probably going to be the next thing that's like a powerhouse in entertainment.
Yeah, that's sustainable and viable. Like, Netflix is like superior and has better financials than anybody in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more with this, Brogu. James Gunn does not want to compete with any other projects. He's very jealous of Zack Snyder. That's very clear. Like, it's so obvious. Like, bro, you're not going to out Snyder, James Gunn. It's not going to happen. Like, all those scenes where you're literally seeing the police, escort James Gunn's Superman. It's like, no, that was already done. It was already done better in Man of Steel. We don't need to see the dollar store Superman with the granny panties being escorted by the police. I'm fine. And what's with bringing back the trunks? I mean, come on. This is 2024. I mean, we moved past that in 2013.
Yeah. That's a good question, because people who say it's iconic, you'll hear it's, and I swear they must be bots, because they say, read a comic book, it's comic accurate. What about all the comics where he doesn't have shorts? There's a lot. There's plenty of comics where he doesn't.
There's a ton. I've got a Superman. Still from the comics, framed and on my wall, dead ahead of me, and he's not. And Superman's not wearing trunks.
Yeah.
But what about the S on the back too? That's not all.
That's from the S. That's clearly from Christopher Reeve, because he's trying to emulate the Christopher Reeve, trying to at least call back to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's going to fail there too, because Superman Returns was a throwback to the Christopher Reeve, was a follow-up sequel to Superman and Superman 2, the Donner Cut. And it just pretended like everything else never happened. And it was a continuation of that. And then they turned Superman into a deadbeat dad. And nobody cared. Nobody wanted that. They called him Stalker Man, with the way he was like hovering over Lois's window and stuff in the middle of the night. I just don't I don't get why you would want to return to that. You would want to try to return to that aesthetic. That's not going to work in the modern era.
Very true.
We got Bishop here in the chat. He says, "Hey guys, just stop through to show some love. Salute to you, Zod, and hold my DualShock. Much love."
Thank you. What's up, Bishop?
Everybody loves you guys. You guys are so popular. It's really great to see, because you guys totally deserve it. I just love seeing all of this. You're so. It's just like it's just some beautiful stuff. Like I hope you guys realize that you guys are going to be at 4K before you know it. I mean, you're definitely.
Thank you.
You're definitely there. I can see it now. Like it's just. It's just so obvious to me. But
Thank you so much.
as far as all this stuff goes, who do you think is doing a worse job, Warner Brothers or Disney?
So I'll go first. I think Warner Brothers, because at least Disney is trying. Well, are we saying like Marvel, Disney, or
Just Disney in general versus Warner Brothers Discovery? Yes.
I'd have to say Warner Brothers probably. They're both awful and making horrible decisions depending on which IP we're talking about. But I will say, like, Disney will have $1 billion project this year. Like, Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine's going to make over $1 billion. And I think that's kind of them trying to return to things that they know people, like fans, want to see on screen, and not leaning too far into like the messaging. But I feel like Warner Brothers is just, they've made too many bad decisions with the people they have making their films.
See, I'm almost the opposite. I think it comes down to their business practice. Warner Brothers is still trying to be a studio making films. Since the acquisitions by Disney, they've been an acquisition company. So they're just bringing in these IPs to raise stock price long enough to buy the next stock, right? And we're finding out that Disney has recouped the money from Star Wars. They've actually lost billions. How long before we find out all these other, not maybe Marvel, but these other smaller companies are just hemorrhaging? Whereas, yeah, right now you look at the stock price for Warner Brothers and you're like, I mean, maybe Netflix doesn't need a license. Maybe they just buy Warner Brothers at some point. At what point do they not have a choice? It's like,
I said that before, and people said I was crazy. I've got streams where people are calling me a nut because I actually said not only that they should Netflix should probably just buy them outright. Number one, and I also said that this whole James Gunn thing is so that they can facilitate a Marvel versus DC crossover.
Oh, 100%.
And I was called all kinds of crazy names. I was told how delusional and out of touch with reality that I am, but that is literally what I think is what's going to happen. I think Netflix is going to surprise people and just come out of the gate and just outright buy Warner Brothers. Period.
They'd also get Harry Potter too.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you got to figure that Netflix is got to be thinking bigger. And I say this because I'm all about the sell Snyderverse to Netflix and all this, but I think Netflix is thinking on a higher level and thinking, well, we could just take the whole studio. If we're going to pay out this much for the Snyderverse. We know that the Snyderverse will be profitable, but we could just scoop it all up. I mean, how many projects, Warner Brothers projects, have been licensed out to Netflix? Quite a few. It's not just, and we're talking about movies, we're talking about TV shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, I would hope that would be the case. I would love to see Netflix do that, to just acquire, just to see Warner Brothers finally be under a roof that is going to be open to filmmakers, fulfilling their vision, because that's one thing that Netflix does very well. They allow their content creators to make what they want to make.
Yes, they do.
Well, and so if you're Netflix and you're looking at Warner Brothers, like that price that's not a substantial cost. Because how funny has it been hearing people say Netflix is out of money for years now, and then they're casually dropping $5 billion on the WWE. It's this like the doom of Netflix is so ridiculously overhyped, and they have money coming out the ass because every month they have reoccurring revenue. Every month they can budget for these projects, whereas every time you see this sales cycle for the movie studios, it's $100 million minimum to market it, and then if it doesn't make any money, they're just out. $100 million pop. These are problems that Netflix doesn't have.
Yeah. And how long before Netflix, I would also wager that Netflix, if they do acquire Warner Brothers as a studio, that would also help them maybe acquire some movie theaters as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because we, wasn't it you guys that were talking about? I think it was Sky that was talking about Netflix opening up stores in various parts of the country. Did you guys cover that as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about
Okay.
doing brick and mortars.
Yeah. And I thought about that. I'm like, I think that's the start of it. They're going to open up some locations and they're going to try to get a physical brick and mortar presence.
Yeah.
And then they're going to spread things out a bit. I'm sorry, Katie, go ahead.
No, you're good. Sorry. No, I just wanted to add some context. Yeah, because the CEO of Netflix consistently talks about how the reason he created Netflix is because he grew up in a home where they didn't have a lot of money to go to the theaters. So they made special nights where they watched movies as a family at home. And so that's what's influenced him to create Netflix in the way he's created it. And so the brick and mortar stores are supposed to piggyback off that idea, where they sell merch and stuff in the stores that are specific for Netflix, like Netflix popcorn and candy and stuff, to make a better experience at home. And some of them, I think they were saying, would have theaters where they would have premiere showings of certain shows and movies ahead of time, but it wouldn't be a theater.
Yeah, I think Netflix can run the table. To be honest, I don't see how Netflix, I don't think Netflix is just sitting there worrying about little properties here and there, a few movies here and there, even just the Snyderverse. I think Netflix is thinking bigger. I think they're calculating ahead, and I think they're a very smart studio. They didn't get to where they were by being dumb.
No.
And I said this a while ago that, Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix.
They did.
Yeah. Well, they baited and outsmarted Hollywood, because when they got into streaming, Disney looked at the price for Netflix. I think it was $250 billion at the time, about a couple of years ago. And they thought that's ridiculous. That's why they went with Hulu. Little did they know that it's really, really hard to be first to market like Netflix was. And they've got all these studios pouring tons of money, undercutting their own box office, trying to compete with a business model they don't really understand. And so I don't see a future for movies if they don't just come to terms with the fact that you can't do both. Not effectively. Not if you're first and foremost trying to have theatrical releases.
Yeah, because the streaming element failed for all these studios. Look at how they were trying all that stuff, where they were trying the day and date releases, where they were thinking, oh yeah, we're going to put this movie out the same day it's in theaters. This way, if you want to watch it at home, you have the option to do that. It just is a miserable, just crap strategy, because at the end of the day, if you're putting out something that's quality, that should be enough to compel people to actually go to the movies and see it.
Exactly. And they're even undercutting themselves by letting movies go to streaming a month after they go to the theatrical release. It makes sense.
I think Furiosa's already on video. And that's the thing. Furiosa is actually quite a good film.
Yeah.
But it just got released at the wrong time, because everybody that didn't go see it probably didn't go see it because they thought they were going to get bogged down with modern day messaging and all kinds of crazy stuff. And what they did was they underestimated George Miller and the type of content that he creates. But unfortunately, I feel like Furiosa came out 4 years too late.
That's such a good point. Yeah, 4 years ago, it kills it, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's a great film. I really enjoyed it, and I just feel so bad, because I feel like George Miller deserved better. It's like there is no way in no world where this movie gets released and it does as terribly as it did if it wasn't 2024.
Yep. You also talked about the licensing things out, dude. Warner Brothers with this deal with HBO Max, dude. Do you ever feel like that's pulling them down as well? It's like a whole separate sinking ship.
I think they made a mistake even creating HBO Max, to tell you the truth, personally. Because think about it, you know, at some point, more and more of these streaming services are going to have to consolidate, because that's the only way they're going to be able to live. So they're going to have to combine and merge, and you're going to have to have. I think there's a deal coming out that's going to merge Disney Plus with like HBO with the Max and a couple. They're all kind of like teaming up, because that's how bad they're doing. They're not making any money if they want to beat Netflix. I bet if you took all of them, you took Netflix is over here laughing at all these studios, but you take Peacock, Paramount, and the whole, the Hulu, Disney, and then the Warner Brothers one, and you merge all that into one streaming service, and I bet you it's still won't be able to compete with Netflix.
Absolutely not.
That's so true. And we just with watching Scavenger's Reign with cartoons and serial on Sky's channel, dude, like HBO is licensing that to Netflix. So exactly. Is that what they have to do? They have to say, we would never license to Netflix, but we'll license to HBO, which in partnership with Netflix. There's so many ways for this to happen.
If you ask me, and again, this is just my thought, just overall on the streaming, on streaming platforms, there should only be two: Netflix and Disney. And so if you're not with Disney, you're with Netflix. Mm-hmm. If you're not with Netflix, you're with Disney. But all of these little services, it's all just confusing. It doesn't make any sense, like, for them all to exist.
I don't want you to take away Prime. I still want Prime.
Well, see,
I'm sorry. I didn't include Prime because I always thought Prime would remain separate, because it's an Amazon thing, and Amazon's totally different. So you would have Disney, Netflix, and Prime.
Yep.
And I just think that's all it should be. And I'm not, I'm not talking about these little like boutique streaming services and stuff like that. I'm not talking about any of them. I'm just saying, as far as the big ones go, no, I don't think they should all have their own separate streaming service, because that's just hemorrhaging money, and that's stupid, because not everybody is going to subscribe to that. I don't even think Apple TV should be a thing. I think Apple's stuff should be funneled out to Netflix.
Yeah,
exactly.
Give me a break. It's like, wow. Yeah.
It's not that much more convenient than cable, and they had the opportunity not to have a competitor in Netflix. They could have had a customer. They could have been farming out all their streaming stuff to somebody who would have paid them and housed it. So, like, when you build a server, that's an enormous expense,
Yeah, because Apple makes really good shows.
But they should, I agree, they should be selling it to other people. There's no reason to.
Yeah, why are they fronting the cost to, have their own streaming service? And when it's like, most people aren't gonna do it, and you're gonna miss those shows, and then eventually those shows are just gonna end up on Netflix anyway.
Yeah. Yep. That would make the most sense.
And $4.99 super chat from Bat Dan's Thoughts. He says, hopefully Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill can redeem Superman with Netflix after that other movie's failure. Hashtag sell ZSJL to Netflix. Hashtag sell Snyderverse to Netflix. Oh yeah, I believe wholeheartedly that it's that movie is done. That movie will be on a streaming service within a month of its theatrical release. I can almost guarantee it.
No, 100%.
And they'll try and play it off like it was always intentional,
Oh yeah, always. Like they'll do what they did back when BVS came out, where they put the movie out, and then they were advertising that you could purchase the digital version and get the special edition, Zack Snyder's, director's cut version of BVS, while BVS was playing in theaters.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh yeah, well, you could do this. And it's like, it's like, but why would you do that? Why would you advertise that there's a superior version of the film coming out? If you pre-order it, you can get it while your movie is running theatrically. I just think streaming is, again, I agree with you guys, killing the theatrical movie market. There's just, you got to do one or the other, and you got to double down on whichever one you want to fully support as a studio.
Do you think that was intentional to try and hurt the performance of BVS?
I know for a fact it was intentional to hurt the performance of BVS. I was writing a book about this situation, and unfortunately, I can't release the book because I am having a problem with being able to get some of the quotes from the high-ranking executives of the time verified, because the person who was getting me the quotes is no longer with us. So I have no way to verify that. I have no way to verify it. So unfortunately, I can't put the book out. But what I found out was that they purposely sabotaged BVS. What they did was they were listening to the vocal minority on Twitter, on social media, complaining about, oh, it's so dark. Oh, Zack Snyder killed my childhood. All this stuff, right? And they were worried, so they wanted to course correct. They were trying to pivot away from Zack Snyder's vision. And what people don't realize is they made the decision to pivot away from Zack Snyder's vision while BVS was in theaters. Now, keep in mind, Zack Snyder's already out there, filming Justice League. But they made the decision that they were going to pivot, and they were going to do whatever they had to do to make that change, to move away. So what did they do? They sabotaged BVS's box office, and they cooked the books to make it look like BVS underperformed. When in actuality, BVS did make $1 billion at the box office. They just hid the fact that it made $1 billion. It made it look like it underperformed because they wanted a legitimate excuse to course correct.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's what happened, and they're not, and that's why we ended up with the Joss Whedon version of Justice League. That's why we ended up fighting to get Zack Snyder's Justice League, and one of the reasons we're in the situation right now, because all they cared about was chasing Marvel and trying to get that Marvel audience on board, which is never going to happen, because the Marvel audience is not going to get behind James Gunn just because it's James Gunn.
Well, no, and he doesn't cater to the Marvel audience. I feel like he has his own audience.
Yeah, he caters to that group of weirdos that's into all that fetishing and that weird stuff that he's into. And that's that situation. It's his audience, the James Gunn, real James Gunn audience is actually very niche.
Yeah.
His movies are niche. They've all been niche up until Guardians, dude. People didn't go see, like,
if you think about it, Guardians is actually pretty niche too. If it wasn't in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it would be niche, and it would have the same kind of guttural humor that you see in Peacemaker and all of James Gunn's projects.
Very true.
Why do you think that nobody gets upset about what he did with Peacemaker if they're like holding out hope that he's going to make a wholesome DCU? Like, how do you even fit
Homelander
Peacemaker into a wholesome DCU?
That's what I want to know. I want to know where this delusion of a wholesome, hopeful DCU is coming from when you have guttural James Gunn behind it all, when all he knows is toilet humor. There's going to be all kinds of crap fetish stuff in this movie. There's going to be tons of fart jokes. There's going to be tons of like just guttural humor. I don't know what makes people think, oh no, he's going to make a very respectful, hopeful, and uplifting Superman movie for the kids. What?
Absolutely not.
Really? Like James Gunn. What in James Gunn's filmography makes you think he's capable of doing that?
None. Even Guardians is, if you just translate one-to-one Guardians into the DCU, those people that want that nostalgia are going to be furious. When you actually think about the jokes from Guardians and how slapstick it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I wish I knew who this Superman movie is for. I mean, it's for James Gunn, obviously, but like it's not for fans.
It has to be for his family.
Yeah,
His brother has multiple roles, so.
Well, yeah, and his brother, for those that don't know, Sean Gunn is on Twitter under Sean Gunn's burner. Okay, and he literally goes into people's chats or people's threads when they talk negatively about James Gunn and tries to debunk them. He's done that to me several times. I got it confirmed by a good friend in the industry that I know that that's actually James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn. And he doesn't even hide it. It literally says Sean Gunn's burner, and it's Sean Gunn's face.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, it's just, oh my God. What's up, Necron? What's up, Skywalker? Hey. Great to see you guys in the chat. As always, my friends. Yes, they are that just goes to show you how little hype there is for this Superman movie, that James Gunn has to have his brother going into threads, running cover, debunking things that people are saying.
Pathetic.
I must be a racist and sexist because the Alkalite is pure horseshit. Okay, so let's kind of move away from James Gunn for a little bit because I'm getting depressed, and let's talk about something a little more depressing, which is the Alkalite. Okay, now I know we briefly touched on that, lesbian witches in space and all that, but overall, it is the most non-Star Wars property to ever exist, in my opinion.
Yeah, it has the intro screen that says Star Wars and Lucasfilm. That's about it.
Yeah, it's related to Star Wars in name only.
Yeah, and there's lightsabers.
Yeah, like I think we said the last chat or something was, it seems like they're a fan of a lot of things, but Star Wars is like at the very bottom of the list, because I see a lot of Matrix, I see a lot of other stuff, but they're not too interested in anything that has to do with Star Wars.
There's even a reference to the X-Men in this last episode.
Oh,
with the whole helmet.
The helmet, like Magneto's helmet, stops mind control from the Jedi.
Yeah. Which is not something in Star Wars.
This is a great point by my good friend Steve here. I want to highlight this. Remember the time we just wanted Heir to the Empire. I'm wondering who's excited. And it's funny because I do see some people out there ironically promoting, the Alkalite, and these are obviously shills who will promote anything that is on message.
Yeah.
Because they're not really Star Wars fans. If you're promoting the Alkalite, you're not really a Star Wars fan. And yeah, I'm saying it. I'm pulling your card. You're not a Star Wars fan if you're out there promoting the Alkalite, telling me that the Alkalite is peak Star Wars, because I literally saw that on X.
Peak
Star Wars. The Alkalite is peak Star Wars, ladies and gentlemen.
I feel like if you say anything is peak whatever franchise, you're automatically a shill. Like, that is just the statement of shills.
Not only are they not Star Wars fans, I think that Disney knows and is terrified that if they stop with the messaging, they won't be Disney fans either, because these are people that are just chasing whatever's talking about their social issue at the time.
Yeah.
Because it's all about how it's more important, and you shouldn't critique it because of all the identities that you might, hurt if you don't like this thing. That's not fandom. That's politics.
And we literally had someone in our comments saying that because we were discussing the Acolyte and the issues with the episode, that we don't want them to exist. I was like, what? That doesn't even translate to anything we were talking about. And it's because the show itself is so much a part of some of these people's identity of who they are, that because we're talking about it, it's somehow we're attacking them as people.
I guess it's because, I come from a time when you just wanted to see a good story. You didn't need to see yourself represented in everything like people do today. And I've noticed how people are so thin-skinned and they take everything so personally when it comes to everything that they see. If they're not being represented, they get offended. If you even call them out like we're doing, like what we're talking about right now is probably considered offensive to them.
Yeah.
And all I can say to that is I don't really care. Whatever. If I've offended you, I don't give a shit. And that's where I am at this point, because there used to be a time where it was like that, where somebody could tell you, oh, I'm offended by what you said. And you could look at them and I'd say, I don't give a shit. And you just move on.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a group of people now who I feel like if you have to see yourself in a show or movie, you generally are not stable as a person.
Well, so yeah. It's weird that people will unashamedly say and type out for forever that it's really hard for me to connect with a character if they're not like me. What you're describing is a lack of empathy. That's not something you should be proud of. That's actually a character flaw.
You need to extend your worldview, and you need to be empathetic towards people that are not like you. Because part of growing and having that personal growth and is understanding that not everybody in the world is like me. That's what you have to do. See, this is the thing. It's almost like it's kind of like getting rid of the uniqueness in the individual.
Yes.
Because for those people to say, well, if I don't see myself in the movie, yes, it's not. Then I can't relate to that. Well, if you can't relate to it and you have no empathy for anyone else, then you need to get out more. You need to get a little bit more life experience. Maybe turn off the Acolyte and try to go somewhere where there's actual people and interact with them, not just online, but in the real world, so that you can kind of. It's almost like, unfortunately, we're societally at a point where everybody's in their own little matrix.
Yes.
And they've sort of done away with reality, and that's why they're so easily offended. It's not because they're constantly getting reinforcement from those dumb viewpoints that, oh, I have to see myself represented. I'm special. I'm this. No, you're not. You're not. You're really not special. There's really nothing great about you. You're just a loser that likes the fact that you're being pandered to. And that's the reality of the world we're living in today, unfortunately, when it comes to entertainment, at the very least.
Yes,
100%. And I, for one, cannot wait till the pendulum swings back the other way, because this is just too much. Every franchise is getting run into the ground because of this type of messaging.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up all over the world, and I fundamentally believe that in order to have a truly rewarding worldview and experience, you have to find the commonalities regardless of the superficial. And what you see in Hollywood right now is the complete opposite. A superficial pandering is more important than the things that we share outside of sexuality, race, and these easy to categorize topics. And it's sad to see people so easily moving themselves into nice little marketable and exploitable demographics by giant companies.
Oh my God. I know a lot of gay people in Star Wars. We shouldn't say lesbian space witches. Yeah, you're right, Steve. We shouldn't because, we don't want to offend anyone. So,
what about that is offensive, though?
I'm honestly confused. Yeah.
So there were space witches and they were lesbians, and that was a Access Media
title.
Yeah.
And it's a categorization. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what about that statement is offensive.
Yeah, I don't quite get it. I don't quite get it. It's just so crazy to me. We got Leon of the New Geek saying I'm cooking, but wanted to show some love to the chat, ZodWriter, and hold my DualShock.
What's up, Leon?
So there it is. Yeah, we all love Leon up in here. You see, this is what it's about. We're all connected. It's all networking. And this is the thing. You could be accepting of everybody. You're accepting of your friends. You're accepting of movies. You're accepting of all of this stuff. I don't have to see myself in everything.
No.
I can appreciate good storytelling, good cinema. And again, it's escape. It's escapism. If I don't see myself, you do something to make yourself stand out, to make yourself represented, to show that you're not a loser. You're putting that out. You're making your mark on the world.
Yeah.
You're just sitting at home on the couch eating Doritos and watching The Alkalite, and you happen to be, in a certain community, and you have your pink and orange hair, and you're excited because you're represented. Well, that's cool, but you're not making your mark at all. Just because you're being represented in a stupid TV show that has nothing to do with actual Star Wars that's not good. That's not good. That's actually a bad thing, and I don't think these people realize that. Yeah, it's sad. Exactly. I just. And that's
the thing too. It's like we invite everyone to discuss like the Acolyte with us, even if they like it. Like, we appreciate people who want to tell us like why they like it. My only issue is a lot of the times they can't tell us why they like it.
Yeah, they go straight into the attack,
Yeah, like somehow we're wrong for discussing it. It's never about why they like it.
Leon on the New Geek says I can answer that question. Besides the online BS, Holly weirdos, bots, and paid for incentivized shills in the real world, there are no large groups that hate him. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. James Gunn belongs in jail. So, on another note, guys, what's a movie or a TV show currently that both of you are either super fans of or are enjoying, and what's something that is coming out that you're excited about?
Ooh.
Okay, so something we're watching currently. So House of the Dragon, we're watching currently, and it's very, very good.
It's always good. It's been good since the first season, and it's not slowing down. I agree with you.
And we've discussed it because a lot of people that we talk to say it's very slow to begin with, which we're actually happy about. I'm happy they didn't lean too hard into the dragons and try and do too much action.
Mm-hmm.
And they've really stayed true to like the Game of Thrones aesthetic.
Well, and then like building characters.
Yeah.
Because that's where I think Game of Thrones lost it in the last seasons, when it became too quick and they didn't give you time to sit with those characters and the consequences.
Yeah. So House of Dragon, wonderful show. Movie we're looking forward to.
Well, a show that's coming out is like tomorrow.
Oh.
The Bear's coming out. I don't know if you've seen The Bear.
I have. My brother likes sending me clips from that show. His favorite clip to send me was the Snyder cut clip outside of the outside of with all the weirdos standing in line when he comes out and he's yelling at all the Snyder, the Snyder cultist allegedly.
That's funny.
When he comes out with the gun. Yeah.
With the gun. Yeah. Okay.
We're actually doing a video about our theory for how the whole show will end, because we like to do random kind of fan theories, but really like the bit there. Is there anything else big coming out? It's kind of a down year for movies. We got our big one. Dune was the one that we've been looking forward to for like 2 years, and we got that at the beginning of the year.
Other than that, I am excited to see Deadpool and Wolverine. I think everybody is.
And then trying to get people to watch Scavenger's Reign, dude.
Yes.
Like I just watched that on one of our subscribers' recommendations, Stephen Dunn. It's so good. It's so trippy. And now this guy's doing it on cartoon and serial. So I'm about to just rewatch the whole thing again.
And we need to get people to watch it, because then Netflix said they'll do a second season.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, and what movies upcoming are you guys excited for?
So we're going to see. It's tomorrow, Thursday. Yeah. We're going to see. What is it called?
Quiet Place Day
Quiet
1.
Place. Yeah, Quiet Place Day 1 tomorrow. I'm excited to see that. That'll be. I don't see how that can be bad.
Yeah.
And then Deadpool and Wolverine's gonna be the movie of the year.
I'm pretty excited, despite all I guess the rational judgment against it for Borderlands, because I'm a huge Borderlands fan. And I think I'm probably gonna be pretty easy to please with that. But
I feel like Kevin Hart will either make it or break it for me.
I think I'll probably just overlook Kevin Hart, because I just love Borderlands. Peter and I played that so much growing up.
Okay, cool. That's
What about you, Zod?
Sounds good. Well, for me, ironically, I was really looking forward to Furiosa. And that came out and came to video a lot quicker than I was expecting. And I am enjoying House of the Dragon, of course. I think that's a wonderful show, and I just hope they keep it up. But other than that, I don't know. I've actually got my own creative project coming up that I'm going to be talking a little bit about at the end of this stream, that I'm really excited about, that I think is going to be kind of some solace for those that are, worried about James Gunn's Superman. I'm basically going to be making a film, doing this film through with the help of AI technology, and releasing it on July 11th of 2025, the day Superman Lunacy comes out.
That's awesome. How did you get into that?
I've been all about AI since it's things with AI started getting hot, and this is something I'm very, very passionate about. I've been doing a lot of stuff with AI music. I've been doing a lot of stuff, but I'm also involved with a lot of beta testing for a lot of these AI video programs that are not public yet.
That's
and all I can say is that a lot of this stuff, it's so good. It is literally, you cannot tell the difference between the stuff you're going to get here through using these programs and like these big Hollywood, big budget films. You will not be able to tell the difference. It is indistinguishable in terms of quality. The world is not ready. It's about to turn everything upside down. This is why I was saying Hollywood knows it's on its last legs.
Yeah.
It knows it's over. So my intention is to completely blow away a big budget Hollywood movie with something that I wrote, produced, and created with AI. And I want to include everybody in the community in this project. including you guys.
I'm so flattered.
So with that, what I'm going to do is let me just read these super chats really quickly, and then I'm going to bring on a special guest, and we're going to talk a little bit about this project that I'm talking about now. A $2 super chat from A Curly Ray. He says 98% of the negative reviews for Rebel Moon are fake. Thank you for the $2 super chat, A Curly Ray. I appreciate it. I agree with you 100%. And El Necron, you are the man, and that's why you have a wrench, and you will always have a wrench in my chat. No matter what, your wrench will never be revoked. I don't understand the people who, they give out wrenches and then they delete wrenches, and then it's the case of the missing wrench. I don't understand it. $5 super chat from the good Austin. He says, thanks for highlighting these great folks at Hold My DualShock. Great people who make great content. The Syndicate Network continues to grow, and I love it. And good Austin, I love it too. I'm so excited. This fandom is a beautiful fandom. This group is a beautiful group. This is a great group of people. And I am so happy. That I have this opportunity to sit down with the two of you, because you guys are wonderful people as well. You guys totally deserve all the accolades you guys are getting and all the praise. It's just it's so perfect and awesome. So without further ado, Wrenchgate. Without further ado, I want to bring on another special guest, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bat Dan's Thoughts.
What's up?
Hello. Hey guys, great to see you again.
Great
to see you.
And it is so awesome to see have everybody here together for this special portion of the show. As I mentioned earlier, I am working on a totally AI project that is written, produced, and directed by me, done all with AI, with the help of Bat Dan here, who has agreed to lend me his voice for the main character of the project,
That's so cool.
which was coined by Sin Havoc. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you One Punch Dan. That is the name of the project. It is a character that uses his fist to solve problems in a way, to solve societal issues and various other problems. And so what I'm doing is I want to involve the entire community in this project. So if you would like to be a character in this One Punch Dan movie, that is going to be a feature film that will be released on July 11th, 2025, come hell or high water, all you got to do is give me the okay to use your voice, and I will clone your voices and make you characters in the film. You don't have to actually act. You don't actually have to show up anywhere. You don't have to be anywhere. Just lend me your voice and you will be in the film. So I have to ask you, Katie and Andy, do you want to be characters in the One Punch Dan movie?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
All right, you're in. Just like that. It's that simple. It's the same question that I posed to Bat Dan. And anybody else in the community, in the Syndicate Network, who wants to be a part of One Punch Dan, wants to be a character in the, only has to give me permission to use your voice, and you will be in the film. And so before we talk a little bit about it, and Bat Dan, you've been awfully quiet, but before we talk a little bit about it, I'm gonna show a little bit of something. Or actually, you know what? Let's get a couple of your comments first, Bat Dan. You talk a little bit about it.
Well, yeah. So basically, what happened is ZodWriter, Josh Herrera, and I were reviewing Army of Thieves, and I don't know. Have you guys seen that movie before?
Yes, Army of the Dead with.
Oh yeah.
With the bank robber dude.
Yep.
So in the beginning of the movie, there's these during his day in the life, there's these Karens at the bank yelling at him when he's doing his day job. and I made a comment how I just want to punch those Karens. And then Sin Havoc started the name One Punch Dan, and it's kind of a nickname that never went away. But hey, that's what I love about our community. We joke at one another, we rib on one another. Not know if I'm saying that word right, but and when Zod showed me the animation and showed me some of the clips, I'll be honest, I was freaked out at first. I was like, I did not say that. I was like, I didn't say that. But obviously I gave Zod my permission. Well, first he did a small little sample for me, and then I'm like, yeah, absolutely use it. But I'll be honest, AI freaks me out. It still does, and there's a part of me that wishes it didn't exist. But since it does exist, I'd rather at least enjoy this project in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So before we talk a little bit more about One Punch Dan, and I want to get the live reaction of Andy and Katie here, and those of you in the chat who were not present yesterday during Bat Dan's watch party when we made this initial announcement. Bat Dan did a watch party for The Flash, and we briefly talked about this, but we also showed our little teaser. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and play this little concept art animated teaser here for One Punch Dan, and we'll get your reactions and we'll talk a little bit about it. Here we go.
Hello, I'm One Punch Dan. What you are about to see is an animated concept art demo reel for ZodWriter's upcoming One Punch Dan movie starring me. This is just a small sample of the many months of work and dedication Zod has put into this project. An official live-action trailer, as well as a release date for the feature film itself, is forthcoming, so like our good friend Sin Havoc is so fond of saying, stay tuned. Enjoy the demo.
That's so amazing.
Whoa.
So One Punch Dan is coming. I'm super excited. I just, you guys, everybody is going to be a part of this. I'm like brimming with the idea of being able to turn you guys into characters. Okay,
I'm so excited. That sounded just like Bad Dan. Like,
Yep.
That was ridiculous. At first I thought you had just done, I thought it was just you introducing it. I didn't realize that it was all this AI stuff. That was amazing.
I did not say a single word of that.
Also, man, the last time I saw kind of this type of stuff was Corridor Crew did a video about using AI to make an anime, and I didn't realize it had gotten like this far. That's insane. Like, that looks so good.
That's actually just storyboards.
Really?
That I'm using for the film.
I thought that was just, dude, I'd watch that because it's so aesthetic. I didn't realize
that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like what I'm showing is actually rudimentary in comparison.
I cannot wait
to what I'm actually working with.
Yeah.
This is okay. And here's a little shot here. I released this on Twitter today. Here's something.
Whoa.
That's One Punch Dan when he's getting powered up. One Punch Dan gets his powers through solar power. So
your character looks so dope.
Yeah, so it's a solar power kind of situation where he gets his powers directly from the sun, and he's just ready to go. I mean, I'm excited. Everybody that tells me that they want to be in this project, I couldn't be happier. And I'm looking at the two of you right now, just thinking of all the different ways I'm gonna use you guys in the movie now. Like imagine
So excited.
imagine Katie being almost like One Punch Dan's Oracle.
So cool.
Giving us bad advice.
Cool.
Right. I'll have her give some really bad advice to One Punch Dan, because One Punch Dan has a sidekick in the movie, a female sidekick. Her name is Pretty Punch, and she's the female that you saw in the trailer, where they kind of looks like they kind of have a romantic thing going on, and so her character is very very important and pivotal because she's a sidekick, but she also has a tendency to check One Punch Dan whenever, he kind of gets out of line, because One Punch Dan tends to be very, very extreme in his views. This movie is not going to be for people that need to be represented when they watch The Alkalite. Just let me put it to you that way. I really, so this movie is going to be done is basically my response to James Gunn's Superman movie, to show that Hollywood is over. James Gunn Superman is nothing. One Punch Dan's going to blow it away, and I don't need millions of dollars to make this movie. I'm going to make this movie from my computer through various AI software programs, through various editing programs, and various things that I'm learning so much about video editing. I'm learning so much about all this stuff, so that when I actually go in and put the cut of this movie together, it's gonna blow everybody away.
That's so cool.
I know. I'm so happy right now. I'm gonna be in a movie.
How long did that take? That's so awesome. Like, that looks monumental. Like, it just a massive effort.
Undertaking, yeah.
Yeah, that took for a while. That took a long time to put together, and then I had to go in and edit it and decide what I have more and more shots that I'm working on every day, more and more editing and stuff that I'm doing. So there's going to be several more, trailers and previews and clips and all kinds of things released over the next several months leading up to the actual release of the film.
That's so
cool. I kid you not. I am not joking that it is like the movie looks like a movie. There is no joke. It's not like you're looking at the movie and you're like, oh yeah, you can tell this is AI. No, you're looking
not like Madam Web.
No, no, not like Madam Web. You're looking at this movie and you can tell that you're going to look at it and people are going to be like, well, my God, who did the cinematography? Well, if somebody asks who did the cinematography, I'm just going to say Batman did the cinematography because it looks really good, and like some of the landscapes, like the ones behind you, the two of you, you got Neo Tokyo, you got Blade Runner, you've got all these environments. I mean, we're talking lifelike, real environments. These are the kinds of things you're gonna see in this movie. You're gonna see some real high quality stuff, and I'm not out there shooting anything. I'm doing it all from my computer.
That's phenomenal.
So
I cannot wait to see this.
I think it's over. I think we've reached a point where Hollywood has basically expired, and it's going to be up to us to make good movies, good TV shows, good content. Because I'm also working I'm in a beta program for a new AI program that's about making TV shows, where you can literally write, produce, and direct your own TV shows right there, right from scratch. You can create everything, and you can generate it all through AI. So I'm also working on that. So there's a possibility that we might end up with a One Punch Dan anime at some point too, because
It'll be on Netflix.
Yeah, well, that's what the song was. The theme song you heard that was playing during it was my idea for what the anime opening would sound like.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So I wanna have tribute to anime, because again, my favorite anime of all time is Fist of the North Star. And so there's gonna be a lot of, Fist of the North Star vibes, references in the One Punch Dan anime as well as the movie. And the thing about One Punch Dan as a live action movie is we'll be able to have it made in a way that you'll be able to do a lot of things that you've never seen on film before. So I think it's innovative, and again, it's a way I wanted to. Hollywood has expired in 2022. Yeah, they've expired. I think we're finally at a point where, real movies will be able to start getting made again. And it's just ironic to say that, being that it's AI, which is just a tool to once again make things easier.
Yeah.
No political messaging in your movies, Zod.
Well, my political messaging in the movie is going to be, if you don't like it, One Punch Dan will solve it for you. That's my political messaging in the movie. So what's your guys' view on this whole AI thing? Because I could talk about AI forever. So I'd like to get both of your personal views on that, if possible.
I think it's important to be able to create without having to have like major budgets. I think for a lot of people, that's kind of the stopping point. It's like there's tons of creative people who write amazing things and want to produce them, but they don't have the budget to be able to have a live action or even anime stuff. So I think AI allows people to do much more with a lot less. But I don't think it's for everything. We recently watched something with what is it for
McDonald's?
No, but there's an anime.
Oh, dude, it was Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, Studio Ghibli said they would never use AI. But
yeah, okay, yeah, they're going to end up using it too. You know why? Because it's going to be more efficient and cost effective for them to use AI than it's going to be to have them hand drawing everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I don't think it changes the need for creativity, because you still have to have someone overseeing it. But it's exciting because up until recently, you could make a movie for relatively cheap. We were out at our farm and we were watching Super Troopers. And I remember them saying that was made on $2 million or something kind of reasonable. It's only recently that it feels like studios have made this gatekeeping thing where nobody can afford to make a movie anymore. And so if it just means that there's more indie films and more just independent art, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think with all the doom and gloom we're hearing about, it's the same thing every time any new technology comes out. Everybody acts like the sky is falling, and then until they start using it and it becomes normal, and then all of a sudden it's I mean, people are dating chatbots, for Christ's sake, and having romantic relationships with their AI. So I don't really know, if that's okay and that becomes acceptable, then making movies without millions of millions of dollar budgets, it's just unbelievable. And yeah, there will be a supermarket scene. There is an actual scene where I have One Punch Dan literally. I might actually release the clip where One Punch Dan is literally punching through a watermelon. He punches through the watermelon in the supermarket because this old lady is nagging him. And she keeps nagging him, and he just gets irritated and just punches through the watermelon. And then the old lady just like wheels her cart away. That's actually a scene in the film.
Oh boy.
So we will definitely know what One Punch Dan's politics is there, which is I don't take no BS. That's what his politics is.
And possibly
And
a watermelon.
Yeah.
And I even talk about punching old ladies in Army of Thieves review because it was an old lady Karen. I said, I don't care if you're an old lady. If you're a Karen, I'm going to punch you.
You see, and this is where you see how this idea was formed.
Yes.
You see now, and I am just taking it to the most ridiculous extreme imaginable. There's an actual scene. I talked a little bit about this yesterday on Bad Dan's stream, but there's an actual scene where there's a little puppy that walks by, like the cutest puppy that you'll ever see. Beautiful, cute face. He's kind of breathing, and and One Punch Dan is in a fight with his arch nemesis, this evil female robot that's like trying to eradicate the patriarchy from the earth, and as Bat Dan is fighting the robot, right? You saw the robot you saw her in the trailer, by the way. That was her.
Yeah.
That was her. And she but he was fighting with one of her minions, and the puppy gets in the way, and One Punch Dan kind of goes off his back foot and ends up like hard kicking the puppy in the face, and you hear the puppy go off. The puppy's like, ah! The puppy kind of go off, and I have the sound effect where the puppy is making like the cutest sound when it gets kicked, like ah! It like goes off like that, and One Punch Dan has to kind of be careful because he's navigating. He's trying to avoid getting hit by this crazy patriarchal killing robot. And so he goes down and he picks up the puppy. I got the scene where he's like kind of cradling the puppy, and then the puppy kind of like licks his fingers. So the puppy understands that One Punch Dan didn't actually deliberately try to injure the puppy. Yeah, it was an accident. It's accidental, but it's in the film, and it shows you that those kinds of things happen. So it's sort of I'm intending to go full old school attitude with this movie. Okay. People today that have no ability to take criticism, and they're easily insulted by everything, they are not going to like this movie. I can tell you that right now. Because One Punch Dan is not putting up with anything. like I feel sorry for this one guy in the movie who's like a complete loser. He's got like sherbet and cotton candy hair. He's a member of that community, and he's complaining about how things are so difficult for him, and they won't raise his minimum wage at his job. And there's a scene in there where One Punch Dan is talking to him, and he says, and One Punch Dan asks him, "How much money are you making at your job right now?" And he's like, "Well, right now, I've been working at the burger farm for a little over 2.5 months now, and they're only paying me $22 an hour." One Punch Dan is like, you start to see like the solar energy like coursing through the veins of One Punch Dan, and as the veins start to flare up, his fist starts to flare up a little bit. And as the dude turns around to walk, he starts complaining about avocados or something. And One Punch Dan just sort of kind of casually trips him, and then he kind of flips back a little bit and does kind of a soft uppercut to his chin, and the guy like just goes falling, and he falls in the canned goods section of the grocery store. So that's in the film. That's a scene in the movie, and I thought that was appropriate. Yeah, he's been working at the burger farm for 2.5 months, and he only makes $22 an hour. Can't make a he can't make a living.
Real tragedy.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here, just envisioning all the scenes I'm going to do with you, Andy. I think I'm going to make you a corrupt pornography producer. I think that would be a great role for you. You could be almost like but you won't necessarily be villainous. You'll be a pornography producer with a heart.
Heart of gold.
Well, yeah, like the pornography producer with the heart of gold. And there's a scene in there where I'll have a scene in there where you're smoking a cigar and you're like, oh my God, Andy, I know what I'm going to do for you. Don't worry, bro. I will do you justice in the movie. You'll have the mustache.
This is so up my alley. Do you ever remember Vice City, the video game?
Yeah.
The adult dude, and he had that weird little monocle thing that he kept holding up when he was taking the porn direction sets. Gotta get one of those. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're in.
The chest open, hairy, Ooh.
You're in, and I'm even gonna have your office furnished with red couches like the ones that I have. The casting couch kind of stuff. I'm gonna totally do your character up like that. So there you go. We've created 2 brand new characters. He's gonna be great, and then I'm gonna have Katie as kind of like Batman, One Punch Dan's Oracle kind of type of character. It's
gonna be amazing.
So it's gonna be awesome, and your voices will be used for the characters. So you really thought that sounded like Batman from the okay, good.
I thought he was doing an introduction. I thought it was a voiceover before we got to the thing.
That he actually recorded that introduction.
I'm doing zero work for this, just to clarify. Other than getting my consent and promoting it, that's basically my effort in this. In terms of the actual making of the film itself, gave him permission to clone my voice, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's amazing. That's
so cool.
And he's gonna be at my apartment watching various cuts of this movie too, because I told him we'll watch several cuts together, and then whatever cut we agree on and we happen to like both the most will end up being the cut that gets released, because it's gonna be a feature-length film. I'm not playing games. It's gonna be a feature-length movie. I'm hoping to have the trailer out by sometime early next year, so that this way you have an actual live action trailer to look at to compete with some of this bigger stuff. So, again, everybody in the community is welcome to be a part of the movie. You just got to let me know if it's okay to use your voice, and a character will be created that will have your voice. The character might not look like you exactly, but you will be in the movie because you will be voiced. Because One Punch Dan doesn't really look a lot like Batman, only somewhat. He's kind of modeled off of Batman, but there's a lot of, to him that's different. And yeah, now you have hair, so he's definitely going to be bald throughout the entire film. So it's but I'm gonna give you like this supercomputer, Katie. You'll have this this supercomputer where you'll be communicating, and you'll have like a little Fitbit watch where you'll be able to communicate with Batman, and with One Punch Dan, and it's just so there's so much that I'm gonna do with your characters. Wonder if One Punch Dan could feature someone as a Transformers-like character as well. I didn't mention this, but there actually is a Transformers-like character that works for one of the villains. So there is a character in the movie. But wow. It was just fun to talk about this and to, let everybody know what to be looking forward to. If you have any questions or comments for anything that we talked about today, put your last minute questions or comments in the chat so that we can kind of wrap this up. This has been a lot of fun. I'm so happy to have actually been able to sit down with the two of you and discuss all this movie stuff. What do you guys got coming up now that you're 3K?
So, with all the shows out right now, we have tons of live streams.
Yeah.
So we're doing on Tuesdays, we do the live stream after the Acolyte at 9 p.m. Central Time.
Yep.
On Fridays, we do the Boys.
Yeah, the Boys, and then we do House of the Dragon.
On Sundays. And Sundays at like 9:30. And then we always have our regular streams. So we have Catch Up Monday on Mondays at 5 p.m. Central, and then Band Rant Thursdays at 5 p.m. Central. So just lots of live streams, and then our regular.
You guys are streaming every day, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so if you guys are ever around and want to come on for like one of these things, if y'all have time, just let us know, and
we'll send you the link because
I like the way y'all do it. Y'all like kind of put it in the chat. I think we need to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the setup's a pain. But yeah, if you guys are ever just swinging by, would love to have you guys come on.
Oh, that's great. You guys are always so much fun to watch, and I just love how you and the reason why it's like you do such epically lengthy streams is you always pay attention to the chat, to the comments, and I love that. That's what I started how I started my channel too, where I was like, I'm gonna read every comment, even if it takes me all night. And then you kind of the realization kind of kicks in that you can't really do that because every comment you want to actually talk about things.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to engage, and so unfortunately you cannot do every comment, but you try to do as many as you can, and you try to engage with everyone here. And Brogu says, I need to get everyone's autograph.
Or be superstars.
Well, if you want your voice in the movie, all you got to do is let me know. If you haven't been on any streams or anything where I can easily get access to your voice, you're going to have to send me a voice sample. And then your voice, and it doesn't have to be a very long voice sample. It can be as small as about 32 seconds, and I should be able to work with it. Yeah, that's all I need. Really for voice cloning, you really only need 3 seconds of someone's
3?
voice. Yeah, you really only need 3 seconds. But
terrifying.
But yeah, it is. I think I think for Batman, I think I grabbed like maybe 20 seconds. I clipped like 20 seconds from one of his videos, and I was able to clone him. So now I got him for the movie.
I didn't realize it was that little.
I know, right?
And he's got a lot of dialogue in the movie. $10 super chat from Daniel Martin. I really don't know if I can adjust to a movie where I don't see gender identities and political ideologies represented. Is there no lesbian witch? Glad to see this collaboration. Pow pow. Thank you, Daniel Martin. Well, the female robot villain in the movie, I guess we can reveal a little bit about her. She's kind of let's just say she's kind of, she's a bit of a transformer. She kind of has special abilities. So I'm not going to say that people of differing groups are not going to be represented. They definitely are. I just don't necessarily know if they're going to be agreeable to the way they're represented, but they will be represented. So I think it's going to be good. No, not really. I wouldn't say necessarily transgender. She's more of a transformer. She kind of has lots of electronic anatomical. She has some anatomical value. Well, there's a scene. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. You guys will actually just have to see the scene. See, and I don't even think this could be released in like this movie would probably get, if it were rated by the MPAA, it'd probably get like an X rating for violence and for insensitivity.
Yeah, that's Hollywood for you, though. That's why this movie is important, to show that, hey, Hollywood, your politics do not matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see. Yeah, definitely spoilers. So thank you for that, Daniel Martin. So any questions or comments for our lovely guest for tonight? Hold My DualShock reviews. I love you guys. I want you guys to come back. You are welcome to come back anytime, and I will definitely try to pop up live on your streams every now and then when I can as well. You guys stream so much. I try to pop in, even if I can just pop in and make comments every once in a while. I just love everything you guys do. You guys are fantastic.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
It's been awesome getting to know all you guys. Like we were just in our own. I mean, we were just isolated until we met you, like y'all's whole group, and it's been awesome. Y'all are all so cool, and it just it's been the most rewarding part of the channel. It's been meeting other people that we can talk to.
Yeah.
Now, where are you guys actually located now? I didn't actually get to ask you guys that. Are you guys, what part of the country are you in? Are you like?
We're in Louisiana.
Oh, Louisiana. Okay, cool. I'm in Illinois, and Dan is in Illinois.
Okay.
So it's not that far. I've been to Louisiana before.
I'm from Iowa, so that's
really.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's super cool. I've never actually been to Iowa, although my brother did go to school in Iowa.
I'll say it's nothing special. Most people don't go to Iowa.
Is it true there's a lot of corn in Iowa?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll say most people want to go to Illinois.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Same. Take out Chicago, Illinois, and Iowa are basically the same thing.
Yeah.
This is a good question. Thank you, Daniel Martin, for putting in that last question. He says, what do you see the future of entertainment being? Do you guys think we'll drift more and more towards social media as entertainment?
I personally don't think so. I think we're going to see more people, though, make like independent projects. And I think we'll see more indie studios make more projects. And I think it'll be less people supporting like these huge studios who are making these movies, and more so like singular things. And I think we're kind of already seeing that with how much stuff Netflix is buying from people for their projects.
Yeah, I think that's why Hollywood got so freaked out when like Godzilla -1 came out. They're just terrified that anybody can make a film for that little money, because it's so bloated. And so I do think there's going to be more content creator first, or like creator first, like you're doing.
Yeah.
Content where as it's becoming more accessible, there's not really an excuse. And then all this false legitimacy they try to prop up for, like, I mean, how many times do you hear, well, you can't critique because it's so hard to make a movie? Well, I think they're about to see that may not be the case.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
It's hard, but I
for
think that it removes some of the. I think with artificial intelligence, it removes some of the work, the legwork. So you're not out there doing, like I said, I don't need a cinematographer.
Yeah.
So I can actually, do what I want and not. And I guess the creative, but you still have to have a creative process. You still have to be able to write. You still have to know what you want to do. You still have to set up all your shots and prompt all your things correctly. You still have to know, because, and again, it's like I'm writing the movie, I'm scoring the movie, I'm editing the movie. I have all this stuff I'm doing, and it's a lot of work. So I don't think it's, again, I still don't think that filmmaking is going to be for everybody, but it's going to be a lot more accessible than it has been for several decades. And you're not going to need a big studio to be able to produce high quality stuff, as I'm about to demonstrate. You don't need millions of dollars, but I would love for One Punch Dan to be something that, gets the attention of Netflix, and they say, you know what, we'd like to, that would be fantastic.
Well, and it's hard for everybody. Art's hard, and making a movie is equally hard for every person who makes a movie. So this idea that you can't critique it, and I'm just saying, I think they're about to see a lot more people throw their hat in, and there's going to be, it's not a cinematography problem, it's a storytelling problem. Because when you take away the process, or you allow more people to be involved in the process, what's their excuse going to be? Because I think that's what you saw at Godzilla -1. People weren't saying, oh, well, it didn't look as good. They're saying, wow, the story was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I think that's about to be kind of blow the lid off of Hollywood.
I can't do anything without a good story at the end of the day. That's the most important part of any movie. If you don't have a good story, all the visual effects do not matter at that point.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Marvels. They
don't even look good either.
But I mean, with all the money in the world, doesn't matter, man. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Same with Madam Web, dude. Madam Web has a budget that most people would drool over, and it doesn't look good. And then they're acting like $120 million isn't enough anymore. It's like, dude, how many creators would kill to have $1 million budget?
Exactly. I agree. I couldn't agree more.
Be so sexist. Those were not bad movies. You just hate you're just a patriarchal piece of shit. That's all you are.
Bro, those movies, that marketing was aimed at me. Like, Madam Web's marketing was aimed at me with the thirst trap stuff, with Dakota Johnson being like, I think you're going to enjoy it twice. Come on. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm the problem.
Spider-Man felt Spider-Man.
Wow. Okay. $2 super chat from Skywalker the Jedi. Much love to the panel. Zod, check your DMs after the stream. Mikey Verse forever. Definitely Skywalker. I will hit you up after the stream, and because we are about to wrap this up now. I want to thank Andy and Katie for being here, being such wonderful guests. And tolerating, me promoting One Punch Dan at the end of the stream.
No, of course. No, I'm
excited.
Happy. I'm happy you asked us. I definitely want to be a part of the movie.
That's like the coolest thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys are definitely in. It's that simple. You're in. I'm super excited. Thank you, Bat Dan, for joining at the end of this stream. Man. Hold my DualShock reviews. You guys are welcome back anytime. Hit me up in the DMs if you need anything. If you need me to do anything for your channel or anything, let me know. You'll definitely be in the movie. I will. We'll talk to you guys again briefly when we wrap up this stream. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up right now. So one more time before we wrap this up, let's play the One Punch Dan intro. Or demo one more time for everybody, just for the people that came in late or maybe didn't catch it, but we will see you next time. Good night, everybody.
Fantastic day.
Hello, I'm One Punch Dan. What you are about to see is an animated concept art demo reel for ZodWriter's upcoming One Punch Dan movie starring me. This is just a small sample of the many months of work and dedication Zod has put into this project. An official live-action trailer, as well as a release date for the feature film itself, is forthcoming, so like our good friend Sin Havoc is so fond of saying, stay tuned. Enjoy the demo.
I was like, where's this little boy trying to go?